At golf championships on a dangerous course, the clubhouse turns into the safest location. Before things get worse, post your score and leave the course. Your ranking on the leaderboard may be destroyed if you hack away at things harmful to scoring. A similar thinking emerges in this first year of the 12-team college football playoff. Would a club, especially in the SEC or Big Ten, be better off not making it to the conference championship game and not risking a loss or injury in another match against a formidable conference opponent if they had established a postseason resume after 12 regular season games? Conference champions are rewarded per CFP regulations. For conference winners will get a first-round playoff bye, while 5 will get playoff invitations. And the runners-up in the conference? They are forced to compete for one of the 7 at-large bids alongside others on the bubble. The conference runners-up would need to play 17 games to win the national title. A team would be better off finishing third in a competitive conference and taking a break on the first weekend of December than taking on a formidable opponent in a conference championship game that it may lose. Any written rule does not protect a conference runner-up, and no one can predict how the selection committee would react to a team that entered a conference championship game with an at-large playoff resume but lost that game. A conference runner-up might be eliminated from the CFP bracket or, at the very least, have their playoff seed harmed by an additional defeat. Only some explicit regulations guide members of the playoff committee, who will assess conference runners-up. Is it better to finish third in the SEC or Big Ten than second? The conference runner-up won't be unduly penalized, according to CFP Executive Director Rich Clark, who also states that the runner-up's performance in a conference championship defeat would be considered. Clark said, "The committee will do that sophisticatedly, and it will be taken into account appropriately." Well, if needed, the ambiguous phrases unduly, appropriately, and sophisticated may be used to support the committee's seating and selection decisions. According to Clark, the committee is sophisticated enough to understand and take that into account if the third-place team is sitting out, and they're not putting it on the table and risking a loss in that conference championship. Not all victories are equal, and not all defeats are either. That justification seems encouraging for postseason contenders like Texas A&M and LSU of the SEC. Up to 7 SEC teams might finish 10-2 or better, yet every club has lost at least one conference game. A&M and LSU have had 2 overall defeats, but only 1 conference loss. Either may risk a third defeat in Atlanta and go to the SEC title game at 10-2. Would they be eliminated from the playoffs with a third defeat? It depends. Clark said that what the loss looks like might impact the committee's assessment of a conference runner-up. To put it another way, although losing could be okay, you shouldn't risk losing when the other playoff contenders in the conference are sitting at home munching on popcorn. What was the performance of the runner-up in that conference final? The committee will examine that, Clark said. I wouldn't say that they receive extra points because they made it to the championship game, but they will undoubtedly benefit from the journey there because they had to have a solid season to get there. That will be the boost, and their performance will be evaluated, but I don't think being in a championship game will be a major data point. Good luck with that word salad. I refer to what Clark called a sophisticated procedure as a kangaroo court, which can invent whatever rationale is required to justify seating and selection. The more I learn, the more I believe that putting up an at-large resume and finishing third in the SEC or Big Ten is the best course of action, mainly if being selected by tiebreakers into the conference championship game and playing as an underdog is the alternative. One coach states, "You want the 5 seed in the CFP bracket." The coaches are aware of this dilemma with the conference runner-up. A Power 4 coach told USA Today Sports that if his team had at-large playoff credentials in December, he would prefer not to participate in a conference championship game and risk a defeat that may harm his resume and perhaps cause injuries. The coach asked to remain anonymous due to the delicate nature of the matter. He wants to wait for his squad to be selected for the playoffs and let their resume stand. Ion. If they were not selected for a conference championship game, a first-round bye would be forfeited. As the top-at-large qualifier was chosen to host a first-round playoff game, this coach pointed out that having the fifth-seeded seed in the CFP bracket would be an appealing draw. Furthermore, losing a conference championship game would not seem to improve a team's chances of earning the number 5 seed. The coach said, "You want the 5 seed because then you play the 12, which is most likely the group of 5 conferences playoff participant. After that, you play the weakest conference winner, the 4 seed. Stated differently, sign your scorecard, finish third in a competitive conference, and drink at the 19th hole while watching the conference final games on TV.